of my presentation is about the existence of a provision in the Constitution that somehow provide the ways and means to the federal government, to the central authority, to somehow do away with, or rather to interfere with the state's jurisdiction. Jadi ini satu perkara yang saya pikir jelas dalam perlembagaan, dan secara ringkas saya ingin menunjukkan bahawa peruntukan itu adalah merupakan antaranya termasuk yang memberikan kuasa kepada pihak persekutuan untuk mengisytiharkan darurat sama ada seluruh persekutuan ataupun di negeri-negeri tertentu, ya. Dan ini yang telah berlaku di Sarawak pada tahun 66, dan saya kira ini masih belum pulih lagi. Jadi rejim yang ada di Sarawak sekarang adalah bukan suatu rejim yang ditabalkan oleh darurat itu. Kemudian di Kelantan tahun 2007, tapi telah pun bagaimanapun Kelantan berjaya mengenangi semula pada tahun 1970, tahun 1990 sehingga sekarang, ya. Jadi di situ menunjukkan bahawa it's very unfortunate for the Constitution to allow this to happen, and this is something which I think somehow we can point our fingers to the Commission. The rest, I think, it's not fair really to blame the Commission, because one has to remember that most of the provision that we have got now are basically the continuation of what was basically laid down by the 1948 agreement. The roots of the present problem, actually you can see is something that you can find in the 1948 agreement, then further down in 1946, and eventually to the 1895 Federation of Malay State, which is something which I think explained to us as to why the remaining 5 states refused to join the FMS, and eventually after the war, the British imposed Korean Union on us. The emphasis is not so much about revising or doing away the structure. What is, I think, is important, what is needed, or the priority now, is to make sure that the ideas, the philosophy, and the requirement of those provisions are being properly implemented. Itu yang paling penting pada saya untuk dinyatakan. Dan sekarang ini saya lihat hatta dalam soal yang telah pun diberikan kepada negeri pun, seperti soal tanah, soal kerja tempatan, ya, telah pun dikacau oleh pihak pusat melalui Majlis Tanah Negara dan juga Majlis Kebangsaan Kerja Tempatan. So you find that even in areas whereby the state possess autonomy or other jurisdiction, it is still possible for the federal government to interfere. And we have seen how in Bari, for example, the Majlis Tanah Negara have been used to somehow confuse the people with regard to the alienation of land in the state. The state actually can develop, you know, but the problem within the Constitution is that, as you can see in Article 112, Clause 2, the federal government, rather the state can only borrow from the federal government or financial institutions approved by it. So this is something which obviously can be used to put the state in a very rather difficult position. And we have seen how now the debates about this petroleum royalty. And in fact, I think some states like Kelantan have suffered a problem due to the delay of payment of grant provided for by the council, such as state road grants as well as capitation grants. So I think the problem, or rather what has really made the problem worse in Malaysia is the political culture. And this is where I would like to highlight that one of the thesis put forward by William Riker, who has written books and articles and many scholarly work on this idea of federation, that he said eventually the survival of federal system depends on the nature of the party system that develops. And I would add that it eventually depends on the political culture that we have got. So we have seen so far how easy state, for example, Selangor, have surrendered Putrajaya as well as KL to the federal government, and also to some extent Labuan, by Sabah in 1984. And apart from that, actually, there are many occasions whereby you find that some of the institutions which are supposed to protect the idea of federalism in Malaysia, such as the Dewan Negara, has been unable to do that due to, I think, the Empress, or rather people, or rather senators, they are more concerned about their party interests rather than protecting or preserving the state interest. You have got 26 senators representing state, because each of the states in Malaysia are allowed to appoint 2 senators to represent them. But as most, or rather, due to the political culture they have got, these people they are more keen to represent their party interest rather than to keep the either federation intact or working. And this is, perhaps I should also mention about the equal powers given to the Senate when it comes to amendment of the Constitution. So in other words, to some extent, the Constitution has provided enough, or rather, quite good protection for the state. So the problem is about the culture that prevails in society. But I think, as far as the Pakatan is concerned, you have no choice, because I think it's a good thing to offer to the electorate. And I think, as far as democracy is concerned and other, good governance and so on, I think it's very important to strengthen, or at least to bring back the idea of federation. And in fact, we also have another tier of government, namely the local government, that must be put in place. We know at the moment we have a problem pertaining to the system and the law that we have got, so it's quite difficult to do it. But I think this must be put as one of the agenda or the program, so that we will be able to bring back the real meaning of government by the people, meaning they've got 3 tier of government: the federal government, the state government, and down at the bottom, the very grassroots level, the local government. So this is something which I think we have got to put in place. And perhaps I should also mention about the possibility of perhaps, I think it's good to consider whether we should bring back, or rather we should have election for the Senate, because the Constitution, interestingly enough, has provided for this election to the Senate, so that perhaps we can, if not the entire Senate, but sections of the Senate could be made up of these elected senators.